You're watching a Highwire Media podcast. Welcome to the Cinema Gold Show. On today's episode of Classic Rewind, we take a look at Happy Gilmore.
Who the hell is Happy Gilmore?
Let me know your thoughts on Happy Gilmore in the comments section below, and let me know what you think of the second Happy Gilmore movie, which is set to be released in a couple of weeks on Netflix. So with that, let's dive into today's episode. Happy Gilmore is an underdog story about a young, emotional hockey player who always had the dream of going pro, but never made it to the big leagues. Then he discovers later in life that he has a talent for golf, given his powerful swing that he ends up using to make money that he can use to help pay for his grandmother's house that is under seizure by the IRS. This movie is timeless, and that's because it follows three principles that most great movies do. The first principle is that the story is clear, concise, and easy to follow. The second principle is that the characters are realistic and relatable to the viewer. And the final principle is that it has a satisfying and well-deserved conclusion. Bonus principle, the comedy works because Adam Sandler is a genius. And like I mentioned, with Happy Gilmore 2 coming soon, I thought I'd revisit a great movie and break down Happy Gilmore, a timeless comedy classic. As aforementioned, the story in Happy Gilmore is incredibly simple but surprisingly multifaceted. The story mirrors both the hero's journey and a familiar fairy tale, which we'll cover later. We start off with an opening montage of old videos of Happy while we jam to Lynyrd Skynyrd. And the movie starts off with Happy explaining his love for his family and how his dad was his favorite person in the whole world and influenced him to get into hockey at a young age. Even when his mom and dad split up, this didn't change a thing for Happy. He always wanted to be a pro hockey player, and his dad told him he could do anything he wanted before he tragically passed away. With his mom and dad both out of the picture, Happy moves in with his grandma, who filled the shoes of Happy's dad by becoming his best friend and number one fan. Happy worked a bunch of different jobs to pay the bills, but to him, his greatest purpose in life was still to be a pro hockey player. After getting cut from his local hockey team and losing his girlfriend, we see Happy go to his grandmother's house, where he makes the shocking discovery that his grandmother's house and belongings are being repossessed by the IRS because she hasn't been able to make ends meet and pay her taxes for well over a decade. So Happy is faced with the conflict of the movie, which is raising $270,000 over the next 3 months if he wants to prevent his grandmother's house from being taken away. The house has a lot of sentimental value to Happy and his grandma because his grandfather built the house from scratch. And as established, Happy loves his family more than anything else in the world. While he pursues the money, his grandma has to live in a dreadful nursing home where she does not feel at home. Thanks to big bad mustache Ben Stiller. Happy returns to his grandma's house and watches the two mover guys screw around with a golf club and some balls in the front yard and makes fun of them. Then they bet him $20 that he can't hit the golf ball farther than them. Happy then takes a swing and hits several balls around 400 yards and realizes that not only does he have a knack for hitting the long ball, he also made $60 from the mover guys and could use his newfound talent to make money to pay for his grandmother's house. He starts off small, doing challenges at a driving range where he meets golf legend and token movie black guy, Chubbs Peterson. Chubbs tells Happy he really needs to quit hockey and focus on golf because of his natural talent for the game. But at this point in the movie, Happy has not yet let hockey go and become a full-time golfer. Chubbs offers to mentor and teach Happy for free, but Happy is reluctant to accept his proposal. Happy only takes Chubbs' opportunity initially when money is mentioned, but his heart still belongs on the ice. He convinces Happy to join the Waterbury Open, where he ends up winning, which puts him on the Pro Tour, where he can start to make good money. At the Open, we're also introduced to Virginia, Doug, and Shooter. More on these characters later. During Happy's first tournament, he realizes that even though he won, he had a lot of work to do. primarily in his putting game. He also punches a guy in the face for making fun of him, which puts his incredibly short temper on display as well. This would turn out to be problematic for him later on when he joined the Pro Tour. Anyway, Chubbs offers Happy a coaching opportunity again, to which Happy declines because of how urgently he needs the money for his grandma. As Happy becomes more familiar with Shooter, he quickly realizes he is very threatened by him and develops a crush on Virginia. When Happy joins the pro tournament, it becomes abundantly clear how much of a loose cannon he is when things don't go his way. But he doesn't get kicked out of the tour after having a huge meltdown because of the new eyes he is bringing to the sport and the tour. Doug cuts Virginia a deal and says Happy has to clean up his act or he'll be removed from the tour. So she becomes Happy's handler in a way. A lot more great stuff happens in the middle of the movie, but we're going to save that for the characters section of the video. Ultimately, at one point though, Happy is suspended from the tour for misbehaving, and in his time off, he trains with Chubbs to improve his short game. Then, right as Happy learns to center himself and putt the ball, Chubbs tragically dies, leaving Happy to face down against Shooter all by himself. Shooter increases the tension by threatening to buy Happy's grandma's house to taunt him, but they make a wager that whoever wins the tour gets the house and all the respect. Then, in the middle of the final showdown between Happy and Shooter, Happy realizes that winning is not the most important thing. What's more important is making his grandma happy and proud of him, because ultimately, Happy is, and always has been, a family man. This maturity helps Happy complete his arc from an angry, emotional hockey player to a professional golfer. Then he ends up beating Shooter in their final showdown, and then he, his friends, and his family live happily ever after. One surefire way to make a story resonate is to build it on the foundation of a classic fairy or folktale that people will understand on an archetypal level. And call me crazy here. Excuse me. Doesn't the plot of Happy Gilmore remind you at least a little bit of Beauty and the Beast? We have Shooter as Gaston, handsome but vain and narcissistic. We have Virginia as Belle, intelligent and kind. And finally, Happy Gilmore as the Beast. Wild and out of control, but at the same time, courageous and resilient. And at his core, a decent human being. Virginia, like Belle, is faced with the task of taming this lunatic, so that he ends up in a golden jacket instead of a straitjacket in a federal penitentiary. Needless to say, Virginia has her work cut out for her, but eventually she succeeds, getting Happy to the point where, well, at least he doesn't punch anybody. You see, in the end, through kindness, tact, and empathy, Virginia helps Happy to get out of his own way, hone his raw talent, and put said talent to good use on the green. Thus, Adam Sandler is changed into Prince Adam Sandler. Nah, I am just kidding. What I love about the story is that there is nothing super complicated about it. You don't need an above-average IQ to figure it out, and there's no grand, deeper meaning to be taken away from it. Happy Gilmore simply realizes there's more to life than hockey. And through adversity and loss, realizes that all he wants to do is make his family and friends proud of him, while having fun. These simple but powerful themes of family, friendship, love, loss, and competition make the movie easily digestible for anybody. Which is one part of the puzzle that made this movie such a massive success. The characters in Happy Gilmore are fun, realistic, and relatable, not to mention absolutely hilarious. The one-liners are off the charts. Adam Sandler does a great job at playing Happy Gilmore and conveying the family man with a big dream of being a hockey player. Happy is good to the people who are good to him, like when he saw this homeless guy getting arrested for trying to clean his windshield. He ended up hiring the guy to be his caddy because he was nice to him. This is very reminiscent of Adam Sandler in real life, who's always trying to help his friends eat and give them opportunities. Excuse me. Furthermore, even though Happy is a good guy deep down, he's far from a perfect character. He gets in a fight with just about everybody who wrongs him. He has temper tantrums when things don't go his way. And he's initially arrogant in the face of Chubbs Peterson's generous proposal for mentorship. Based on some of his lines, he's a dude who's obviously just a few fries short of a Happy Meal. Similar to Billy Madison, but he's incredibly lovable and relatable. So many people who feel like underdogs in their day-to-day lives. Every error I've listed, he eventually overcomes through patience and hard work. We all want to be the hero of our own story, and Happy does just that. Virginia explains perfectly in the movie why so many people love Happy Gilmore, saying, quote, "Golf has been waiting for a player like this, a colorful, emotional, working-class hero." And she's totally right. So many people are outside the elite regime of people who typically enjoy golf, and these types of people see themselves in Happy Gilmore. He dresses like a regular guy, he loses his shit when people mess with him, and he doesn't get intimidated by good-looking, clean-cut, narcissistic people who try to big brother him. Speaking of which, Shooter is an incredible movie villain, played by Christopher McDonald, who looks very, very similar to Norm. Has the same last name as him, but is somehow not related to Norm. Shooter embodies the heel, who is the complete opposite of Happy. He shows fake humility when being interviewed, plays tricks on Happy when feeling threatened by him, and goes out of his way to hire somebody to sabotage Happy during golf twice. He won't even hang out with the guy who he hires to screw with Happy. Shooter is the perfect bad guy to rival Happy because they could not be more different in personality. Him and Happy also share a variety of memorable one-liners throughout the entire movie. This back-and-forth dynamic makes the final showdown between the two absolutely amazing to watch. Ultimately, Shooter's arrogance made him underestimate Happy, and this leads to him losing and getting his ass kicked by Mr. Larson. Carl Weathers is great as Chubbs Peterson, even though his supporting role is pretty small. Happy's arc would not be complete without it. Chubbs is a sage and wise mentor to Happy, who has been down the path of being a professional golfer before, and he helps Happy learn the key to patience and controlling his emotion on the course, which helps him beat Shooter in the end. Virginia is an amazing character as well. Julie Bowen has an excellent supporting role, where, similar to Chubbs, she helps steer Happy in the right direction of behaving well and playing golf to have fun, instead of just winning and focusing on his grandmother's house. And how could I forget Happy's grandma? She plays a small but pivotal role as Happy's rock and purpose for chasing success, because ultimately, his grandma is the closest thing Happy has left to his father. We also have memorable cameos from Richard Kiel as Mr. Larson, I forgot how to mention his name. Joe Flaherty as Donald, and Bob Barker as well. Bob Barker. We got to see Bob Barker and Adam Sandler stage a brawl for this movie too. And God, I'd have to say that's probably the best scene in the movie. We also got to see Kevin Nealon play a bit of a small goofy role, and he'll be returning for Happy Gilmore 2. I also got to say, we got to give a big shout out to Donald from Happy Gilmore, who gave us these memorable lines while heckling Happy. You're going to need a blanket and suntan lotion because you're never going to get off that beach. Just the way you never got in the NHL, you jackass. You will not make this putt, you jackass. Oh, those lines I still use when talking to some of my favorite people. Just some of the most iconic heckling done in a movie. He really did nail it. Also, how could I forget Dennis Dugan as Doug Thompson? Dennis only has a couple of scenes in the movie, but we have to thank him because he also directed the film and was probably responsible for quite a few of the great creative decisions we saw. We also have a quick cameo from Robert Smigel, who is a legendary NBC writer, where he plays the IRS agent who gets thrown through a glass window. We also get to see Ben Stiller play a psychotic nursing home worker who has a deleted scene where he gets thrown off a balcony. And how could I forget Otto, the homeless guy who ends up becoming Happy's best friend and golf caddy, who has this disgusting shot of his butt about halfway through the movie. All of these characters really elevated the simple story, written and executed it to the highest possible level. The ending in the movie is satisfying, and Happy absolutely earns it. Sometimes you watch a movie and the ending is all positive and weird, even though the characters went through pretty much hardship to get there. That's boring. Imagine if every single book you read, the main character started out perfect and infallible. Why the fuck would you read it to the end? You wouldn't. And if you did for some reason, you'd be like, well, that was terrible. We want flawed characters working through their difficulties like Tom Joad from The Grapes of Wrath or Luke Skywalker from the original trilogy. Original trilogy, not the new one. These characters remind us of ourselves. Happy Gilmore is that character. While not as complex as the aforementioned examples, Happy certainly does not have it all figured out when the story starts. He's a confused young man who wants to play hockey because it's what his dad loved. But after getting cut again and losing his girlfriend, he feels beat down. To make matters worse, his grandma is losing her house, and he has to raise money for her. But he finds golf and uses it as a vehicle to get his grandma's house back. Through all of Happy's character flaws that led him to getting kicked off the golf tour, he found his way back to Chubbs as a centered and humble guy who genuinely wanted to be the best golfer he could be. Excuse me. He starts off doing it with the intention to win money for his grandma, but eventually he comes to the conclusion that his grandma doesn't care that much about the house and cares more about seeing his grandson succeed. And be, well, happy. When Happy goes to his happy place and sees this tear-jerking scene of Carl Weathers playing piano, which definitely hits differently now, he remembers what Chubbs taught him. When Happy starts playing for himself and enjoying the sport again, this is when his trajectory as a golfer begins to surge upward. The closing scene of this movie is almost the exact same as the opening scene, where Happy goes to see his grandma as a kid with the dream of being a hockey player. Except now, he's joined by the love of his life, his best friend, and golf caddy, and the woman who was always there for Happy after the death of his father. And he realized his purpose is not to be a hockey player, but to use his talents to make the world better for the people around him, and try to have fun while doing it. It's a perfect story with an excellent resolution that is absolutely well-deserved. Happy Gilmore rules, man. Even if you think golf is a boring sport that should only be watched to curse insomnia, this is a movie that everyone can enjoy. Even golf enthusiasts love the movie, which is why it developed a cult following in many different online golf communities. Hopefully the cult following watches this video. Who on earth can watch this movie and not attempt to do the Happy Gilmore golf swing? You'd be insane if you didn't try it at least once. Anyway, this movie was a hole-in-one because it was hilarious for just about anyone who watched it. And it followed the principles I discussed for a great movie. A simple yet compelling story of a hero's journey, relatable and lovable characters that we all remember, and the resolution of the movie being well-deserved and incredibly satisfying. All in all, that's why Happy Gilmore is a timeless comedy masterpiece that will be watched and enjoyed for many more decades, and hopefully centuries to come. Thank you, Adam Sandler. I'm looking forward to seeing Happy Gilmore 2 when it finally drops. That's all I got for you guys today. If you made it this far, you might as well leave me a thumbs up and subscribe if you enjoyed yourselves. Thank you so much for watching to the end, and I will see you in the next video.